All right, well, let's get started on day 4 of this extravaganza. Note that the pile of parts is now on this new shelf unit, which much better organized and keeps me from tripping over that stuff. So the agenda today is to pull the clutch on this. You guys remember we had this offending pin. I've got a cap screw in it right now, but that's the clutch fork pin that will not come out. I've laid underneath these cars for hours and hours beating on that trying to get it out, so I figured it'd be so much easier with the engine out. But of course you guys know that's not the only reason the engine is out. So I'm going to loosen up on the bell housing bolts and then take loose on the screws that hold the pressure plate to the flywheel. And then if everything works out, the whole shooting match will come off the flywheel. And then I can deal with that frozen pin on the clutch fork on my bench. Be much better. So let's jump into it. All right, the bell housing is off, and as you can see, the flywheel definitely needs to be resurfaced. I don't know if this is original clutch. Friction plate is pretty wore, almost down to the rivets on the flywheel side. The other side has a little bit more meat on it. All the springs are intact, which I've seen those broken in half. I'm just not sure. That has a 931 part number. So I would say this is probably original clutch, because if it had been replaced, it would probably just be a SOX number. Now, so the pressure plate does not come out with that clutch fork still engaged. However, I can get to that pin from this side here, but there's another little pin going up through that orifice there that keeps you from pushing the clutch fork pin too far in. So to get a good drift on it, I'm probably going to have to move that little pin out of the way, which might be a challenge with the pressure plate still in. I'll figure something out. Right, I got that sucker out, and I'll show you why those pins get so hard to pull is because the needle bearings inside these clutch forks just get completely rusted, corroded. You can see where on the pin itself where it's like indented from the needle bearings. So that's the reason they get really hard to pull. What I eventually had to do is just go through that hole and use a really long expendable screwdriver and beat it through, which worked out fine. I believe that wouldn't be an option on 944, as the bell housing doesn't have the opening on the other side. I think you're pretty much stuck with having to pull the pin, but bottom line, doing it on a bench here was so much easier than wrestling it underneath the car. All right, we got the flywheel off. What's interesting about this is there's no locator pin on the back of the crank for the flywheel. There's a small, looks like tick mark, maybe top dead center. Right now I do have the engine set at top dead center. I checked that with a dowel inside of cylinder 1. It does look like I might have been off a little on my timing mark on my camshaft. It's not exactly on the pointer right now, so even a notch or two would have affected running. It's a collision design, so you get any more than that and you're in trouble. But I'll have to research this this positioning on the flywheel, because for the timing mark, flywheel itself appears to be non-specific as far as rotation. I mean, there's no mark or tab on there to trigger that sensor. I think the sensor is just basically counting teeth. Anyway, I will read the service manual and find out more about that. Next step is to put this on an engine stand. Okay, engine is on the stand, and look what I found here. The turbo is missing a bolt. One was loose. I'm sure I'm going to be finding more stuff as I disassemble. I mean, I'm at a good stopping place today, so feeling good about what I've accomplished. Join me again soon.